Well, folks, we've been lucky enough to take the Trek Slash Plus out for a ride here during Crankworx Whistler. Got out for a really awesome pedal yesterday, and we're able to put this bike through the paces and learn a little bit about it with two vital members from Trek's team that were involved with the design and completion of this 170 mil high pivot e-bike, mid-power, SL, whatever you want to call it. It features the TQ HPR50 drive unit, the same as in the Trek Fuel EXE and a number of other bikes. It has an internal 580 watt-hour battery, which is removable. And what's awesome is if you already own a Fuel EXE, the 360 watt-hour battery will fit into this frame. So if you want to drop, we haven't weighed the two, but I'm guessing about a pound, maybe just under a pound and a half for your shorter kind of after work hot laps, you can do that. Also, if you have the range extender for your Fuel EXE or want to buy one for this bike, if you don't already own an EXE, you've got a 160 watt-hour range extender, which will plug in right here. And that gives you a total of 4 different battery size configurations to balance out weight and range. Now, I will say we went on a pretty good ride yesterday and had the bike in the highest power mode for the whole ride, and only used 2 battery bars in I don't know, it was about 2 hours worth of filming and riding. So lots of sprinting, vertical climbs back up to repeat a downhill section. And I was really surprised because I have spent a bit of time on the EXE, and those battery bars tick away pretty fast, and that was not the case with the 580 on this bike. Conversely, weight is about 45 pounds, so it is a little bit heavier than the EXE. Obviously, it's got a lot more travel, a lot more capabilities, and a bigger battery. So moving into the rest of the bike before we meet with the Trek team, a couple of really cool key updates. The Slash had a little moment there with some chain drop issues, which have pretty much been remedied from what we were told by the Trek team. This bike does have an updated lower pulley and guide system, so chain dropping should not be an issue at all. Also worth noting that non-E Slash owners will see an updated part available soon. For those who maybe aren't still having problems, but just want that extra added security of the newest, latest piece. Moving into the rest of the bike, so much carries over and nearly mimics the non-electric Slash. It has been an award-winning bike, a bike that we praised very highly in our review. And so to have it with a bit of assistance is really going to make this thing, in our opinion, a contender for one of the best lower powered e-bikes out on the market. So with that said, let's go meet some of the Trek folks, talk to them, and get out on the trails.
Hey, I'm Maddie Spurlock. I'm a mechanical engineer at Trek Bikes.
So Maddie, can you tell us a little bit about what your task was and what you were involved in the development of the Slash Plus?
Yeah, so Slash Plus, we took everything that we knew and loved about the suspension kinematics of the Slash and combined it with the 50 Newton meter TQ motor. So just giving everything about the descending capability with just a little bit of boost and everything you love about e-bikes. So my role was adding those two things together and putting it in a nice package and working with our designers to make it look really good and ride really well.
Okay, and mechanical engineering is your background.
Yeah.
What sort of work were you doing behind the scenes to get this frame where it is compatible with the drive unit, the battery, the suspension, packaging?
Yeah, totally. So we do have the bigger 580 watt-hour battery in here. So giving that same experience of the removable battery, so just 2-bolt exit with the motor, and making it really secure in the frame. And then making sure that the motor was compatible with the high pivot. And then again, just making sure that we're keeping that weight low and making it a really fun and light and maneuverable bike for descending.
Okay.
So yeah, keeping as much of the components as we can from Slash to keep it familiar, but making sure it integrates really well with the e-system.
Okay. Was there a bigger challenge? And if it was it getting the drive unit to work with the suspension platform, or was it getting the removable battery sorted?
Neither. They're probably equal challenges. Okay. I think just trying to keep it light and familiar was kind of a challenge. We really wanted to make it small. We really wanted to make it a descending capable bike, so not making it too big and making it something that is still really light and playful that you want to take off big stuff and do fun moves with for sure.
Okay. And as far as the suspension kinematics go, did you opt to change anything in terms of anti-squat, anti-rise because it does have a drive unit, or is it identical to the analog slash?
Yeah, this one is identical to the analog slash. So,
really? Okay.
The only real geometry changes is we only have 4 sizes, so small, medium, large, and extra large. So a little bit of difference there to kind of merge the gap where that medium large would have been for the acoustic slash.
Any suspension adjustability like on the slash?
Yes,
and short, long, high, low, anything like that?
Yeah, so we have the same progression flip chip for the rear shock, and then it's the same adjustable headset cup, which isn't suspension necessarily, but just adjusting the bike. And then, yeah, it's mullet out of the box, which is what we think is the best setup.
Do you have the complete bike weight with the large battery?
It's about 45 pounds.
45?
Yeah,
okay.
give or take the build and the size.
All right. Range extender?
Yeah, the 160, same as the EXE. So
okay.
if you have that one, TQ
that'll work too.
160 watt hour.
Okay. Right on. Very cool. Thank you.
My name is David Knopf. I'm a mountain bike product manager for Trek.
So, David, when you came to the Slash Plus, what were some of the big goals that you and the Trek team had, things you really wanted to accomplish, or things that people had been asking for and expecting out of this bike?
Going back a couple years now, when we launched the original Fuel EXE with the TQ system, right? It's really well received for its lightweight build, as well as adequate amount of assistance to get the rider up the hill. Very quiet riding bike, right? So taking all those aspects, the capability of the new Slash, and marrying those two together was the primary goal, right?
Okay. And what were you tasked with as product manager? What were kind of your checklist of items to do to get this prepped for today?
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, it was relatively straightforward from my seat, right? Really just understanding the feedback from that Fuel EXE project, that Slash project. Really, it was quite interesting throughout those projects, just amount of customers asking where's that bike in between, where's this bike? Mm-hmm. So really, my job is to take that feedback from our customers, kind of understand the market, and really, put the emphasis behind the team to make sure we meet the market and meet the customer with what they're looking for. So.
Right on. And how many models, frames will be available, and kind of what's your price point starting and topping out at?
Yeah, so this is a carbon platform only. We'll have 2 models, Slash plus 9.7 and a 9.9. So you'll have a XT build with a Fox Rhythm and Float X shock at $8,000, and then you'll have the bike you have in front of you, EXO build, ultimate level Zeb and Vivid shock at $12,000.
Okay, all right, and no frames available?
No frame sets available. No.
Okay. There's a lot of e-bikers out there waiting for frame sets, and it seems like not many brands are offering them yet.
Yeah.
Do you think that might change in the future, not maybe for Trek, but just in the industry?
Hopefully, I think, yeah, within the industry and for Trek, I hope that changes. Obviously there's a lot of interest in people wanting to build up the bike they want to. There's just, complexities with the E-system components in general, right? Trying to keep those two married together.
Yeah, I guess when you talk about the magnets and the wheels and making sure everything is spec'd right. So, okay. Speaking of wheels, this is a mullet-only bike, correct? Unlike the analog Slash.
That's correct, yeah.
And riders cannot change the 29 because they cannot recalibrate, or I guess they could put a 29 in there, but they're going to suffer some drivetrain issues or drive unit issues.
Yeah, it's just over a 1% difference.
And the reason to go with that smaller wheel was to, I guess, performance, nimbleness, handling?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's definitely the preferred wheel size we find at this travel bike. Yeah.
Right on. Okay. Very cool, man. Well, thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Excited to get more time on it.
Yeah, can't wait.
So as you can see, we definitely had a good time learning from the Trek folks and putting this thing through a little bit of paces out on the trail. So we're gonna share some of our first impressions and thoughts. Obviously our tech check videos and dissecteds are made in partnership with the brands. They help give us access and ability to create these. So this is definitely not a long-term review or an official endorsement in any way. However, if you watched our Trek Slash review, you will know that we, along with most other media outlets, really like the Trek Slash. This is exactly what you would expect. It is a drive unit battery powered Trek Slash. It does feel a little bit heavier, not so much to the point where it prevented me from doing anything that I wanted to do. You know, if there was kind of weird, awkward bits where I wanted to straight line something and bunny hop over a really sharp rock or an obstacle to get that straight line, I was still able to get the bike up and off the ground. I did find that I was running a little bit less sag. I think Trek quoted about 30% sag as kind of a good starting point. I found myself kind of gravitating closer to 25%, just to give me a little bit more platform. Again, it's only been one ride, so more suspension tuning will be in the works, but like I felt really close and happy with the settings that I came up with in just one ride, and it absolutely saved my butt a couple of times. There's a trail here called Golden Boner, which had race tape on it because they'll be racing the Enduro here, and I guess getting between the tape there inspired me to let off the brakes a little more than I should on a trail I've never ridden before. And there was some blind chutes and chunky rock bits that this bike for sure saved me and came out the other side all right. The 63.5-degree head tube angle I liked in the nominal position. You've got plus or minus 1 degree cups. I don't think I would ever go slacker, but you know, I could potentially see some people wanting to do that. I could also see people wanting to go a little steeper to increase that nimbleness and handling even more depending on their local terrain. The progression flip chip, I don't know. I mean, when we get our long-term bike, we'll probably play with it, but I will continue to run this Vivid shock on my test bike because I think it's one of the best shocks out and it really does well on this bike. Aside from that, battery range seems really impressive so far. The drive unit being a TQ, I mean, it is very quiet. It does have less power than a lot of other bikes out there, with, you know, those having 60 or more Newton meters, this being 50. You know, we're gonna have an SL MTB roundup, shootout, whatever in the next couple of months, so we'll see where that sits. But I think if you're riding this level of bike, you're probably not racing up the hill anyways. So if you're not racing up the hill and you just want assistance to get up there for the gnarliest, chunkiest downhills, this will do that. I was actually really surprised, aided by the traction, even with these not really great tires, that I was able to climb some really steep stuff with some pretty sufficient torque assistance from that drive unit. So yeah, kind of barely touching on the tires. The compound's pretty hard. There are some obviously options that you can do to change that pretty easily after the fact, but the bike itself really has not given me anything to complain about thus far, and I look forward to Trek sending us one for a long-term review. If you guys have any questions, thoughts, or concerns, let us know. We'd be happy to answer them down below, or reach out to Trek if we don't have the answer. And guys, we would be really appreciative if you would hit the subscribe button and help our channel grow as we try to deliver more mountain bike and e-bike videos for you. Thanks, and we'll see you out on the trails.